After spending the winter season in Seattle, we are now sailing south along the US West Coast. Last week we sailed from Coos Bay in southern Oregon to Fort Bragg in northern California. From Fort Bragg we drove north to Humboldt County to experience the famous redwood trees.
Our time in Fort Bragg turned into a waiting game. Several low pressures were lined up in the Pacific, bringing heavy rainfalls and strong winds offshore. Luckily, it was a cheap marina by US standards, at $20 a night. So in the meantime, we worked, cooked and watched movies. Är det pajexperten som är igång igen? Sea lions sometimes stay out at sea for up to 2 weeks feeding, before returning to land to haul out and rest. There are 6 different species of sea lions in the world. These guys are California sea lions.
I just love them. They're so funny. There's quite many of them here in Fort Bragg. I think there is like 50 of them living here in the harbor. But usually they hang around in the eastern part of the marina. But because the fishing boats that's normally are docked here, they moved out this morning. And I guess these two saw an opportunity to haul out here. So they've been singing for us this morning, barking. When the rain finally stopped, we celebrated with a barbecue. After days of non-stop rain, the sky turned blue, but it was still too windy and rough offshore to set sail.
Looks a little bit more rough today than when we got in here. There's some waves, and you can see the water is all murky from all the rainfalls. That's come taking mud from land and from the river. And I actually have a big problem standing up here looking down. I've never had problems with heights before, but now it's difficult. I get dizzy and a bit nauseous actually.
Because of the pregnancy?
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think about the inlet?
It's super narrow. I think it has to be the most narrow inlet that goes out to open ocean that we've been going through. Well, actually the next low pressure is coming in tonight. So yeah, guess we'll be pretty rough here.
Fort Bragg was founded as a military garrison in the late 1850s, just before the American Civil War broke out.
You need some new socks?
Yeah, I want these, the puppy.
The military presence didn't last long, however, and when the army had left, a lumber industry sprung up, bringing the railroad and the opening of the port on the Noyo River. $1,800 years. It looks so massive when you see it like this. I mean, a lot of the trees we saw up north in the redwoods were this big, but you get a different perspective when you see it like this. So it took them 60 man-hours to take one tree down like this. That's like 1.5 weeks of work for one guy to take down one tree. That was in 1943, so I don't know if they had chainsaws back then. I guess they had, but here they show that I don't know if they hand cut it, or maybe with axes and manual saws.
Oj, oj, oj. I mean.
Du sa att vi skulle äta glass.
Var det gott?
Mm.
Vad är det du äter då?
Det ser man ju.
Ja, det gör man inte.
Bananasplit.
Var det bra?
Ja, kokosnötglass. Coconut ice cream.
We used to have this table bracket here, a lagoon table bracket, but it was pretty annoying with this pole in the middle here when you were sitting on this side, because you have this sticking up here for the table. So that's why we want to change for these brackets instead, so you can have the table mounted here all the time, because with this bracket we had to remove it every time we went out sailing and stow it away, but now we can have the table sitting here all the time and just fold it down when we're going out sailing. So I think it will be a lot more convenient this way. And also we make the table a bit shorter now, so you're able to sit up here as well without having the table too close to you. Disturbed.
Yeah. There's one in the water.
This is how the table looks now. I have removed all the old varnish and sanded it down to 240 grit, 240. So now I will put on the first layer of varnish, and there will be many layers, so we won't be finished with this in this marina because we're leaving in a couple of days. So, but I will just put on one layer now, so to protect it, so the surface don't get oxidized. And then we can put on more layers later on. The table has a veneer on it, so inside it's just plywood. But so on some of the areas here I couldn't save the veneer. Like here you can see I went through the veneer because it was not really connected to the surface beneath it. But I think it will be okay anyway. Other than that, it's in quite good shape. Being exposed as it is, I decided to use a one-component varnish on the table, making future maintenance easier. However, using a two-component varnish will give you a better resistance to UV and water, but when it fails it needs to be removed completely before reapplication is possible.
We're leaving Fort Bragg. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. Seems calm, which it should be. That's what the forecast says. So now we have about 24 hours to go to San Francisco.
Looks pretty calm out there. Not too bad, but it is narrow.
This is what it's like to go in and out on this coast. Shallow bars, meaning big waves.
It's pretty rolly. How are you feeling?
Yeah, this is what just makes me seasick, just triggers the seasickness. Starting to get a headache. I guess in a little while I'll start to get watery mouth, and then there's no end. There's no way back. So I think I'll go down to bed now and just try to lay down. And maybe that will help, so I don't have to throw up. I just had breakfast. I did throw up before that this morning, but I could eat and I like to keep that. Okay, I have to go down.
Yeah. We're passing by Point Arena now, and the wind has died down a bit. Right now we have 14 knots true wind, doing 6 knots. But the wind is supposed to come up. According to the forecast, it will be gusting up to 30 later this evening. But the same forecast also said that we should have around 20 knots of wind here, so I don't know. But at least the direction is correct. Now we're making good speed. We're actually going a bit too fast. We want to be at the Golden Gate Bridge tomorrow at around 8 o'clock in the morning. And right now we're doing 6 knots, and if you want to be there around 8, we should have an average of 5.3, 5.4. But I think maybe tonight, if the wind picks up, we take down the mainsail and only sail with the head sail, just to slow us down a bit. But we'll see. Maybe the wind won't pick up, because right now it's pretty calm. Some people say that the entrance to the San Francisco Bay is the second most dangerous port entrance, major port entrance on the west coast after the Columbia River. I don't know if it's true, but according to the chart, it looks like it could be pretty bad. There could be up to 6 knots running out when you have an ebb tide. And of course, if you have big waves, big swell and heavy winds from the west, those waves will stand up. We will not time it at because in a perfect situation you should time it so you're arriving when at slack current, when the current is still, and that after when it's slack it's starting to move towards flood. But we can't make that because that's in the middle of the night. So we will probably arrive 1 hour after slack tide on the flood. So we'll have around 2 hours to enter the bay before the tide or the current turns. So it should be okay because we will have the current with us going in, and that should ease the waves. There's a big horseshoe-like sandbank sitting outside the entrance to the bay, and they say that the waves can break pretty heavily there. So there's really only 2 channels you can go in. One of them is really close to land, and they say that one can be pretty dangerous if you have big seas. So it's not recommended to go there if there's any swell. So I think we will just go in the main shipping channel, because according to the forecast there shouldn't be any fog tomorrow. The visibility should be good. So I think we just go for the main channel. It's 7:30 and I'm getting ready for the night, cooking up some food now. And the sun is out, but it's really rolling. An hour ago I took down the mainsail because we're going too fast. The wind have picked up now. We have 28 to 30 knots of true wind right now, doing 8.6 knots. Yeah, it's a bit too fast. We're going to be way too early, so I probably need to reef a bit more on the head sail. Been a really windy night, but luckily the wind died down a little bit after the last cape here, and now we're a bit early. It's 4:45 and it's actually almost slack now, so it's good timing, but we can't see much. So we'll see. I think we will have the sunrise just about when we come closer to the Golden Gate Bridge. We're about to enter the main shipping channel leading into San Francisco Bay. And the wind has dropped a little bit. Right now we have 22 knots true. So in a while here I'm going to turn and we will have a broad reach. There are some shipping, but not too bad. There's a container ship coming out now, so I'm trying to avoid that.
We timed our entrance pretty well, so there wasn't much current or waves to talk about. A rough night, but now we're almost there. I just came up here to see the bridge. Last time we sailed under a big bridge like this was in Lisbon, and that bridge is actually like a copy of this one. So it's like second time we go under like a Golden Gate looking bridge.
You think we'll go under?
220 feet. Yeah. It felt special to enter a place you've never been to before, but still being so familiar. We could see the Alcatraz Island and the hills of San Francisco as we were heading to our anchorage in Aquatic Park Cove.
Hope you enjoyed this episode and thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and if you would like to support our videos, you can do so by becoming a Patreon. See you next week.